When you're angry, you know it instantly. You don't need a therapist. What you need to do is know how to shorten the distance of that resistance of the reaction to fear.
Let's have a little conversation. What is excellence to you? You talk about it in your keynotes and that rise and the frequency of that. Talk to us a little bit about the meaning of that to you.
Excellence is something that's personal to everyone. And for me, it's a capability. It's the empty milers. I think a lot of times people pursue excellence in a extra mile fashion. They go the extra mile every once in a while, and then they use that to justify why they are not where they want to be. For me, excellence is the capability of first learning to love what you don't like or love, learning to love what other people don't like or love. The first exposure I had to excellence was in a book by Viktor Frankl called Man's Search for Meaning, combining time and relativity of Einstein's philosophies and applying them to our real life by knowing that we can give meaning to everything we see. So the first step or frequency of excellence or awareness is our ability to learn to give meaning to things that we naturally don't like or don't love. And now, if we can do that, we are capable of enjoying the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of our own potential, our own excellence. Too many things today are relative to what other people want for us, what we want other people to think, what's missing, what we don't have. In accordance with Napoleon Hill, even in a definiteness of purpose, when we can enjoy what we don't like or love, or other people don't like or love, and we do that every day without quitting in the pursuit of our own potential, that to me is the definition of excellence. Be an empty miler, not an extra miler. Do it every day and give the meaning of the past to that, aligned with where we think we want to be or better. It'll be the wisdom and the faith that we create through that journey that'll shorten that resistance and the distance that we need to go in order to get to where we want to be or better.
Beautiful. Well said. Well said. I love it. You've had an amazing career, super successful at the top of the game. I know you shared it's very poignant, quite frankly, that falling off the top of that game, rising back up into that. Could you share just a little bit of the origin story of David Meltzer and maybe give some hope and inspiration to people out there?
Yeah, sure. I was born into a world that many of us are born into. I believe it's a blessing to be born into this world of not enough. My mom was single by the time I was 5. My dad had left, raised 6 kids, 5 boys and a girl, and empowered us to pursue our education. She felt that was how the fetus was fully developed. I'm sure as a doctor, Paul, you have had some parental influence that the fetus wasn't fully developed till after graduate school. You may have even heard growing up, doctor, lawyer, or failure. And that's what my mom did, work 2 jobs. My mom, I would say, I wasn't taught by my mom. I was caught by what my mom did. I watched her work 2 jobs, pack my dinner in a paper bag after she taught 2nd grade, and filled up turnstiles with greeting cards at convenience stores just so we could eat, and giving everything she could to her family and her community to make it a better place. And that world taught me one thing, that money was really important. But I gave the wrong meaning to money, unfortunately. I gave a meaning that was one of which money could buy love and happiness. And so I pursued money as an ends, and there was never enough of it, Paul, because when I graduated law school, I made my first million 9 months out of law school. My first exit was in 1995 for $3.4 billion with West Publishing to Thomson Reuters. By the time I was 31 years old, I was running Samsung's phone division, the very first data division at Samsung, a Windows CE device, married to my dream girl, worth over $100 million. And I was not happy. because I had attached my emotions to the more than, and there's always going to be more than. You see, I kept buying things that I didn't need to impress people I didn't like. And it was a terrible spiral for me. After Samsung got hired because of my technology and venture background, by the most notable sports agent in the world. They made the movie Jerry Maguire about my firm. So, Lee Steinberg Sports Entertainment, not only did I have more money than I ever dreamed of, but I had access to what billionaires couldn't even afford to do: the sidelines at the Super Bowl, the backstage cabins at the Masters, things that people only dream of and spend millions of dollars at auctions to do. I was given that access, but it wasn't till I realized that my mom, my dad, my best friend, and my wife, who were constantly telling me I was lost and that I was going to end up dead if I didn't take stock in who I was and what I wanted to become. When I realized finally that the four people that I thought that I hated were not hated by me at all, they were truly the only people that loved me. Unfortunately, when I attached my emotions to that end, I hated myself. And for all the reasons that they exposed why I hated myself, in 2008, I lost everything. I lost over $100 million. I almost lost my family. And but for the sake of me taking stock in who I was and what I wanted to become and staying committed to a rise of excellence that I had defined earlier in the interview, by learning to love what I didn't love or like, by enjoying the consistent, persistent pursuit of my potential, stop worrying about what other people think, what was missing, what I didn't have. I utilized not only the wisdom of all the people around me and asked for help from those people, knowing that the fastest way to get to where I wanted to be was to find people like you and ask them for directions, but also to help other people get to where they wanted to be. But the most incredible shift in my paradigm was faith. I remember when I lost everything, having to go tell my mom the only reason I wanted to be rich was to buy my mom a house and a car, to bring financial security, the only thing missing in my childhood, to her and to my family. I had to go tell her I lost everything, but including her home. And I remember when I told her, she smirked at me. And I said, "Mom, I don't think you heard me. I lost your home. You need to move." She said, "I heard you, sweetheart. Do you need anything?" I said, "Mom, I lost your home. You need to move." She said, "I heard you. Can I give you some money?" I said, "Mom, I've done everything that I could to provide for you and the family and the community like you taught me. Why am I being punished?" And she said, "Oh, son, you are not being punished. You're being protected, promoted, loved, and perfected by God." I said to her, "Mom, I don't believe in God." And she said, "Son, you believe in God. You just believe in the wrong God." And smirked at me again. For the last 17 and a half years, I've lived with an unwavering faith that I'm being protected, promoted, loved, and perfected by something bigger than me. Something that has unlimited information and unlimited energy and unlimited love. And that has shortened the distance of resistance that I had created for myself and my potential, my rise in excellence. And I encourage everyone, as you know, on my mission to empower over 1 billion people to be happy and teach them to shorten the distance of resistance that they are creating in their life.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you for mentioning I meant to say that in the introduction. You're not, it's not just a goal, it's a happening, because I've seen it happen in your Facebook events and other things that you've done out in the conference and so on. There are people that are being happy, and I know that they're paying it forward, David, and I think that to the testament of what you talked about, because I think people need to hear this. How have you seen your transformation back into that, the spirituality, if you will, of that goodness. How have you seen that impact your relationships and your family, but also the other relationships you've had in business and with the people you collaborate with, your partners, and so on? How's that impacted them?
Well, initially, I made a transformation from the world of not enough and feeling like I was a victim into this world of for me, just for me. Everything was a trade and negotiation. I gave millions of dollars to charity, but with an expectation of acknowledgement, an expectation of respect, an expectation of giving to receive, some sort of trade or negotiation. And that carries as much scarce energy as the world of not enough, of being a victim where everything happens to you. And for me, the greatest shift in my paradigm with wisdom and faith and humility, just as a reminder, my favorite quote, Paul, is you're either humble or you're about to be. And within the context of this world is a world of more than enough of everything for everyone, an infinite loop of giving, where you give more and you seek what you're given. You see, most of the texts, the theoretical, spiritual, religious, and philosophical texts that I read, they don't necessarily say, hey, the more you give, the more you receive, although that is true. What they say is, the more you give, the more you will be given. And there's an accountability to seek all that we're given. You see, so many people were like me on that dreaded day when I told my wife and my mom that I was being punished. And they both said to me, oh no, son. Oh no, my husband. You're being given an opportunity, an option, a touch of favor where nobody else could see it. And then we talk about we noticed or aware of what we're given, we need to receive. It's interesting. It's so obvious to me. If you want someone to feel good, then let them be capable of helping somebody else. And if you deny them that capability, if you do not receive what you are offered or given, you are cheating people of the greatest gift that you can give them. And here's where the infinite loop lies in the philosophy of more than enough of everything for everyone, not to me, not for me, but through me, is that not only do I give more and I'm given more and I receive more, but I now with faith know that I can ask for more than more, so I can give more than more, be given more than more, receive more than more, and ask for more than more than more. You see where I'm going to end up when I'm 80 years old? I'm going to end up with more than enough of everything for everyone. I'm no longer going to live in a zero-sum game where I give more and receive less out of guilt and resentment. I am going to give everything, be given everything, receive everything, and ask for more than that.
Yeah, to me, that part of the takeaway of what you just shared, David, is one of the things at 80 years old that I'm going to be engaging in is the amazingness of the people in my life. The people that I've helped. And as you said, one of my mentors, his kind of life mantra, if you will, is to give opportunity. Everything he did was surrounded with helping other people to be the leaders, helping other people to be the leaders of leaders, and so on. And that really impacted my life. And I look back and I say, my greatest riches in the bank are the bank of people. And that's what I hear you saying. So people, no matter what you're doing, sales or anything else, if it's people, if I'm not interested in people, then I'm not interested in excellence or success or anything else.
I love that. And it's so true that a community of people, a frequency, a neighborhood of people that want to help each other and know people that help each other create a legacy for life and beyond.
How have you seen that in your latest works, David? You're out speaking in conferences. Sometimes it looks like every week you're at a different conference, or you're building your office hours there in Los Angeles, and so on. What stands out to you lately? I notice a lot of people that come on calls with you. There's a lot of that millennial generation. There's a lot of that up and coming people that it's almost like these souls being born into the earth to make a shift, to make a change, and so on. How have you seen the generational things going with the work that you've been doing so far?
Well, in the work that I do, I look for people who are going to empower people because that's the exponentiality of creating change.
Yeah.
And I am blessed to travel in 200 cities a year and blessed to have so many different options and opportunities. But I will tell you with the up and coming generation that our bench is deep. It's just different.
Yeah.
And I also will tell you that I have studied a lot of history. My mom had encouraged me to study history. She said, "Look, you study history, son. It's going to be boring, but it's going to be important because history will show you human nature, and human nature never changes." And so the next generation has the same human nature, and so do the older generation. I don't know one generation that has said, "Oh my gosh, that previous generation had it so much easier than us." It's always the future generation, the new generation is they're entitled, they don't appreciate. That's human nature. But I will tell you that the this generation, because of technology, is just different. But our bench is deep. They are going to save the world. I am also the chief chancellor of Junior Achievement University. Junior Achievement has received its third nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize because even that committee recognizes that these entrepreneurs, 15 to 25 years old, with 100 million alumni with Junior Achievement, the seventh largest NGO in the world, that we need to rely on our organization to not just change the world, but to save it, to fill up the holes in our atmosphere, to change plastic to food, to provide us longevity and health. These are entrepreneurs that do these things. And I'm very encouraged. And I think it's very important to know they're just different and they are capable and ready to save the world.
Well said. You give me goosebump shivers on all that. I can see that in my kids and so on. I think also that one of the things that I hear you saying that you alluded to early on is, the wisdom that your mother gave to you. And I remember telling my kids, make sure that you find out all that you want to know about your grandmother before they pass on, because there's going to be value in that even if it's just the love that they share with you, that can be palatable and impactful. And so I think for those of us that are in our later cycles in life to not hold back from giving and sharing and realizing we all have a good story to share that just may help that younger generation as well to thrive and build the bridge, create the legacy that moves forward and all that. David, one of the things that I asked you before was, in my interviews, and I've done hundreds of these interviews right and now in these networks, I hear references to the fear of success. May not say the words, but there's like a cap point where people just somehow they can't cross or up level into that next stage. Can you address that just a little bit before we wrap up here? And, what's your take on that? The fear of success, fear of failure.
It's an excellent way to finish up, and I appreciate
Yeah.
that, Paul. And I do, before I answer this question, I want to make sure that everybody knows for your community, which is so big, I am true to my mission. So anyone in your community that would like that book that you're holding up, I will sign it. I will send it to you. I will pay for the book. I will pay for shipping of the book. So there will be nothing you need to do other than email me directly, david@dmeltzer.com. David means beloved. At D, my first initial. Meltzer means waiter or servant. So remember, email your beloved servant, david@dmeltzer.com. I would love to send, sign, ship my book to you for free. But let's talk about the fear of success, because I believe that it is the meaning of the past that causes this fear of success. See, fear is omnipresent. Sometimes we know, sometimes we don't know what we're afraid of, but it's so important to align the meaning of our past, the failures, the successes, the void, shortages, and obstacles, the historical relevances, the defining moments like my bankruptcy. It's so important to align the meaning of my bankruptcy to where I want to be in the future because it is the meaning in the past that limits our self-image. And so, as you talk about being afraid of success, it's a matter of self image. And I know one thing from studying history that within the context of human nature, you will never overachieve your own self image. And so, when we can address the meaning of the past, the failures, the setbacks, the mistakes, the defining moments, historical relevances, and successes of our past, if we can align the meaning to a greater self image, to be protected, promoted, loved, and perfected, a greater imagination of ourselves, then we are breaking through the limitations that most people put on themselves from the reaction to the fear of their past. And one last thing before I go, in the
Yeah.
context of knowing what we're afraid of, even if you don't know what you're afraid of, the instant and obvious is the reaction to that fear. So you may be afraid of something from a past life or womb trauma, toddler, infant trauma, teen trauma, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I imagine I'm going to receive 60s and 70s traumas soon enough. But it's difficult to know, man, I'm really afraid of success or I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of heights. But what you will know is your reaction to the fear instantly and obviously, because if you have a need to be superior or inferior, separate, resentful, guilty, frustrated, worried, angry, we know it instantly. When you're angry, you know it instantly. You don't need a therapist. What you need to do is know how to shorten the distance of that resistance of the reaction to fear. And what I'm suggesting to people is you can't out logic that emotion. You can't out analyze that emotion. What we really need to do is have wisdom and faith. In other words, when you're angry, upset, separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, resentful, guilty, or worried, just stop. Don't go over it, under it, through it, around it. Don't lie to it, cheat it, manipulate it, or deny it. Just stop. Breathe through your nose, out through your mouth, drop down to center. And I want everyone to remember, and recollect with your God, an infinite source of energy, an infinite source of information, and then roll into your future, aligning the meaning of the past with your becoming. In other words, when your mind, body, and soul are on fire, you'll know it. And everybody knows when you're on fire, Paul, you got to stop, you got to drop, and you got to roll. And if you do that, I promise you one thing, you will be happy. And if you can empower other people to be happy, to empower other people to be happy, we can change the world together with this simple strategy, philosophies, and frameworks. In my book, david@dmeltzer.com, it is a rise in excellence that Dr. Paul Kellogg shares with all of you. And it's a blessing for me to be a part of that journey. Thank you so much for including me.
David, thank you so much for being a part of ENTV and Rise in Excellence. And I'll put all the connections and contacts and the book and so on in the comments underneath the interview. Guys, please reach out to David. He's always there. He answers his texts. He answers his phone, whatever it is. He's there for you. And let's go out and pay all this forward. David, thank you so much. Appreciate you. See you soon.
Thank you, Paul. Have a great